Hey, welcome to the new Blue Jay Banter podcast. I am Tim Kruger, your host of the Blue Jay Banter podcast and also publisher of BlueJayBanter.com, the Creighton Rivals site. Thanks for joining us today on another kind of test run of our podcast. Our big launch is going to be October 3rd, so be looking out for that. But in the meantime, we're here to discuss all things Creighton. And I'm joined today by my fabulous producer, Zach Weaver. Hey, Zach, what's going on?
Nothing much. Just hanging out.
All right. Usually Ross Ferrarini, former Jays player, is joining us, but today he's playing hooky. I think he's out playing golf, Zach. So, hey, whatever.
Was there a record high today? Was that
It
true?
was warm out.
Yeah.
It was really warm. I think tomorrow's supposed to be warmer. So.
Jeez.
We'll be here each week, sometimes more than once a week, to bring you updated Creighton sports info, as well as discussing the hot topics of the Blue Jays with a special focus, obviously, on men's basketball. For repeat viewers, same great show. Thankful you're with us again. For all new viewers, hey, welcome aboard. You've come to the right place for all your Creighton information. If you all would please do us a favor, go down below, click on the subscribe button and also the like button. It helps us out a great deal. You'll also get notifications when our podcasts are up. This is our second podcast show in our, so to speak, exhibition season, if you will. And all this leading up, as I said, to our big launch on October 3rd. We're really excited about that. We got a lot of great coverage in store for you, including our regular post-game shows after basketball games, so I think you'll enjoy that. On today's show, we're just going to do kind of a brief look back at what's happened here over the last couple of weeks. First of all, we're going to talk about the Bird Club Madness event on Friday night. That was at Sokol Arena. I was there, and I kind of break down what happened and also give you an update of some of the recruits that were there, which was very interesting. So we got a chance to talk to some of those guys, and I'll give you my impressions. Then later, we'll dig into our mailbag. We've got a few questions that viewers have sent to us for today, so that'll be great, and we'll answer those and have a little discussion with that. As always, you can send in your questions, bluejaybanter@gmail.com, or follow us on Twitter @BlueJayBanter. You can drop us a DM with questions there as well. I do want to mention our terrific sponsors right off the get-go. Equitable Bank, we take banking personally. They've been with us for a lot of years. They do a fabulous job, and they're the bank of Blue Jay Banter and also West Pacific Dental Group and Dr. Robert Hogan. More about our wonderful sponsors later. So let's jump right into it. On Friday, they had the Bird Club Madness event down at Sokol Arena. It was the second year of the event. Last year they had it at CHI Health Center. This year at Sokol Arena, smaller venue. I think it worked better. It was more intimate venue, and kind of the same format as last year. This year, though, kind of special. We had Nick Baugh, Omaha's own Nick Baugh from Fox Sports, that was emceeing the event along with Mr. Big East John Fana. So that was great to have those two guys aboard in emceeing the event and running the event and doing some player interviews as well, which I thought were pretty interesting. The event was broke down into 3 parts, if you weren't there: dunk contest, 3-point contest, and then a scrimmage, which was 2 6-minute halves. I got to tell you, dunk contests, I'm not the biggest fan of them. If you're 6'8" and can jump it all, you can dunk the basketball and do spin dunk, 360s, reverse dunks, so on and so forth. I don't get into them as a lot of people do, and a lot of people go crazy over them. It does give you an opportunity to see the athleticism of some of our players, and certainly that was on showcase Friday night. Frederick King, probably the star of the dunk contest, as one would expect. He is a physical specimen at 6'10", 6'11". He's big. He can really jump. He's going to be a great rim protector coming into spell Kalkbrenner when he's on the bench for a few minutes. He had some spectacular dunks, some thunder dunks. I thought the guy who stole the show, though, was Ryan Nimmer.
Yeah,
the dude's 6 feet tall, okay? And yeah, we all got thrilled with him last year in that ball game when he went for the one-hand slam. But the dunk that really opened my eyes was he brought Arthur Kaluma out, who was judging the contest. Now, Arthur had his jersey on, but he was in street clothes. He's got a little bit of a knee issue, nothing to worry about, but he was just sitting this event out. And as you know, you watch the scrimmage later on, you were kind of like, geez, just nobody get hurt here, because they were kind of going up and down the floor and a lot of stuff at the rim. And but anyway, Arthur came out, grabbed the basketball, stood like on the baseline, and threw it off the side of the backboard, like the little edge of the backboard.
Yeah.
Nemhard went running, grabbed it with two hands, and did a two-hand slam.
Yeah, so I wasn't able to go. I saw all the videos. Joel was posting all of them. Joel Lorenzi was posting all of them on Twitter, so that's how I followed. And I was like, yeah, the dunk last year was eye-opening, but that was something else. He just floated.
It was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I did not know, guy, if you go to the gym and you see guys, that are 6'2" and they're trying to dunk or 6'3", they're all trying to get that one hand and they can just barely get that one hand over. I mean, and I thought, well, maybe that's all he's got, but no, he's got a two-hand slam in his repertoire, which was pretty impressive. Then they moved on to the three-point contest. Now, this is where I get into it because I love shooters. So we had our regular cast of characters. We had John Christopoulos, who I believe I think he won last year. I couldn't remember if he or Mason Miller won last year. But John was right there, obviously brought in as a shooter. Trey Alexander, no surprise there that he was in the contest. Trey did not do very well in the three-point contest. He just got off to a rocky start and just couldn't put one down. And then two of the new guys, three new guys actually, Francisco Farabello, Baylor Schreierman, and then Ben Schulzberg, all were in the three-point contest. Ben got off to a really slow start, but I know from talking to him and watching all of his recruiting videos and so forth, I know he's a good shooter, and he came on strong at the end. I think he ended up with like 11 points. That's 11, so that's basically 11 out of 25.
Yeah.
John Christopoulos also came out of the gate very slow, and I thought, ooh, has John lost his touch? But he went on a tear. I think he made something like 10 of his last 12 to finish with 13 points. But the two new guys, Farabello and Schreierman, stole the show. They both got to 14. Now, if you haven't seen much of them, they're both lefties, which is a little bit different. They're both lefties. Both have similar shots. I actually think Farabello's stroke is better than Schreierman's. I think it's more consistent. Schreierman has a little bit of that Tyshawn Alexander spin on the ball, that little bit of a side spin to it, which, frankly, I don't know how guys shoot it that way, but they do, and they're very successful shooters. Don't get me wrong. But he has got a stroke, man. He is going to be a weapon for us, Farabello, coming off the bench.
Yeah.
And being able to knock down threes. Schreierman obviously has got about 3 inches on Farabello, so he's a little bit bigger, more of a set shot type kid. Probably the position he's going to be playing, he's going to get some open looks, which is going to be great, and also obviously transition looks. These two guys, when you add them to Alexander, you add them to Nemhard, and then obviously Arthur Kaluma, who came on big time from the three-point line last year. Last year we were like halfway through the season, we're like, gosh, we just don't really have the shooters. We have the shooters now. And so that's going to be a big, big piece of this team. Schreierman ended up winning in a shootout over Farabello to take the prize. Then came the scrimmage. There was 2 6-minute halves in the scrimmage. As many people I talked to afterwards said, it basically resulted into dunks and three-pointers. That's all there was. There was no inside game. There was none of that. Guys just showing off their skills, which is what it's meant to be. Again, Frederick King was kind of the star here. I think somebody said he had 14 dunks in the scrimmage.
Yeah, I heard he was just kind of leaking out.
Yeah, I would say leaking out's probably a stretch. He was just cherry picking.
Oh, okay. I was trying to put it like be nice about it, but
he did have some nice moves though. Like he got the ball in half court, took it down. One interesting sequence was, let's face it, there was no defense played, which was probably good, so nobody got hurt or anything. But there was one sequence came where he got the ball and Kalkbrenner was on the opposite team and came up, and Fred just kind of stopped. Like he was 2 feet from the basket and stopped and just kind of looked at Ryan and went, "Oh, you're not going to come after me? Okay, I'll just go up one hand slam it." It was kind of an interesting little. I do want to go back to one thing though before I forget. So the 3-point contest. So then when it was done, they said, "Oh," John Panda got up and said, "Oh, we have a special contestant. Ryan Kalkbrenner is going to shoot the three." And I thought, okay, here we go, because Ross and I on our last video had a discussion about this, and I made the statement. I think I made the statement that Ryan was a great 3-point shooter, and what I meant to say was he had a great stroke, not that he was a great shooter. So I thought, okay, well, gosh, too bad Ross isn't here to see this. Well, Ryan didn't have his best night from the 3-point line, so it was obvious why he wasn't really in the contest. But he's got a very nice stroke. He's going to be able to knock a few down from out there.
Was that the Seton Hall game towards the end of last year where he made 3?
Well, if you remember on the last podcast, when we broke down his game, they had a run of just 3-pointers. I'm like, I didn't know he made that.
Yeah, neither did I. I only remembered the DePaul game, or not DePaul. Sorry,
Seton Hall.
Seton Hall. Yeah. And
so it was kind of interesting
hitting those 2. Yeah.
But certainly Fred's going to be a real force when Ryan has to go to the bench. So that's a great dynamic duo there. As we said earlier, Trey Alexander didn't shoot very well in the 3-point contest. He lit it up in the scrimmage. Like he could not miss. Guys were actually starting to come out on him and get in his face, and he was still knocking them down. So he had a really good scrimmage. Mason Miller, I thought, probably hustled the most of anyone on the scrimmage, trying to get some putbacks and down the floor. Ryan Nembhard then came down after there were some threes jacked up, and Ryan Nembhard came down and had a sweet step-back 3, which was really nice, and knocked that down. He not having any effects from that broken wrist. He looks terrific, man.
That's really reassuring to hear.
Yeah. Sharif Alexander didn't have his best night. Sharif got his haircut, so
I did see that. Yeah,
he looks a little different out there. So, but he's had a fabulous summer by all accounts from the coaches. So, exciting for that. And then Ben Schulzberg, after Nembhard hit his step-back 3, he came down the floor and hit a step-back 3. So that was pretty impressive as well. Shireman, Farabello all knocked down a bunch of 3s. A lot of 3s shot.
That sounds like great
just
basketball.
A lot of fun going up and down. Yeah, they were just jacking up 3s and going in for dunks. And, it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun to see the athleticism. I talked briefly with Coach Mack afterwards. He comes up and says, well, nobody got hurt. I said, I was at one point during the scrimmage. I just wanted Colt to just stand at center court. And just not move. And Coach goes, that would have made my heart like ease a little bit, you know. A lot of fun. They signed tons of autographs. They had a huge autograph session afterwards. The other cool thing was it just so happened to coincide, and maybe not totally by coincidence, obviously, that we had 3 visitors there as well. 3 recruits, that 2 of which have had kind of we've heard about them a lot. Okay, we've heard Creighton's been recruiting them now. They're all 2024 recruits, by the way, which I find interesting too, because I think the staff there just doesn't know what's going to happen with this class, like how many guys are going to leave.
Yeah, that was my exact thought when I saw the positions too. The positions broken down where it's point guard, big man, and then another power forward, which is the one that kind of took me. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe they are thinking Arthur might be leaving early.
Yeah, so they're looking at like 2 years. Well, that would be 2 years down the road before these guys will play. So, I think they're thinking, absolutely, by that time, will these guys have gone? Will we have some openings? So, Five best. I should mention Jason Green too, the North kid here from Omaha. He looked very impressive in the dunk contest as well. By the way, showed off his athleticism. But anyway, the three recruits: John Mobley Jr. out of Las Vegas. He's the 45th ranked player in the country in the class of 2024. He was here. JT Rock out of Sioux Falls, big kid, almost photocopy of Kalk when he was in high school. He's about 7 feet tall, lanky, skilled. He's got a nice shooting touch, rim protector, very hotly recruited kid. And then kind of the newcomer to the group was Jackson Mcgann. He's out of Wayzata, Minnesota. They went to state basketball tournament last year. His dad played at North Dakota. His dad played with Ben Jacobson, actually, the UNI coach. And then he also coached for a while with under Mac up at North Dakota. Gotcha. So there's kind of a connection there. Of the three guys I talked to, he was the most talkative. Talked a lot about just what he's been doing. He's an elite shooter. He's a very intelligent player. I think he probably fits maybe like a Mason Miller type role. Probably fits more to the 3 than the 4 even, I would say. Now it just depends on how he develops. He's only going into his junior year, for crying out loud. So yeah. But he described himself as an elite shooter. So didn't lack for confidence.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Interesting. We're Jeremy Hauer, our recruiting expert at BlueJayBanner.com. And by the way, again, if you're not a member, you need to sign up today because you'll get all these more in-depth updates on these recruits.
Yep, and the conversations with them are on there as well.
Absolutely, yeah. So I did happen to get a couple interviews with Junior and with McAndrew. So both of those are on there. JT wanted us to call him later on down the road, so we're going to do that when he gets done with his recruiting visits. I got the sense, though, that all three of these are going to be tough nabs for us. Probably of the 3, I would guess, probably Rock would be the number 1 I think that we could get, just because of our history with bigs.
Yeah.
Mobley, obviously, just so highly ranked and is a terrific shooter. But we do have a really good, obviously, history of point guards here at Creighton. In talking with McAndrew, he's seen a lot of schools. He's got an offer from Wisconsin, obviously from UNI, but you got Wisconsin. Yeah. He's got an offer from Minnesota. He got an offer from us, and then he's now going to Iowa, and I'm sure he'll get an offer from Iowa. He fits their kind of mold, the player they want too. So let's see where that falls, but that's something to keep an eye on. Before we get into our Q&A, I just want to speak a little bit about our terrific sponsors here on the Blue Jay Banner podcast. First, Equitable Bank. It is the bank of Blue Jay Banner. Friendly, helpful staff, and I can swear they do answer the phone on the first ring. They'll serve all your needs. If you're buying a house, hey, you might give them a chance. Check out their mortgage department and see what they can do for you. 2 great locations, one right down there in Old Mill by the TD Ameritrade headquarters, and then also one out at 204th over in Elkhorn. So check them out. Doug Nodgaard, president, big Jays fan. Check out Equitable Bank, the bank of Blue Jay Banner. And then West Pacific Dental Group and Dr. Bob Hogan. He's my dentist. He does a terrific job, not only in preventive care, but if you've got a problem, he will go in, he will assess it and give you some options like, hey, we can do this or we can go this route. He's always looking for what's best for the patient. Tremendous, friendly staff. Go see him today. That's West Pacific Dental Group and Dr. Robert Hogan. All right. So I thought it would kind of be fun to do some Q&A. We got some. Do we have some questions, Zach?
We do.
All right, let's have
questions here. All right, first one from Jim. At the Bird Club event, which player impressed you the most, and did any players look noticeably bigger to you?
Well, let me go with the bigger. I would say, and I'd heard this throughout his redshirt year, but Mason Miller, I think, looked much bigger to me. And that's what they wanted to do, right? Was get a little more weight on him, get some more muscle mass on him. Again, you come back to Frederick King, who just looked like a monster out there. Yeah. I think Kalk looks a little bigger, maybe. Maybe not much different than last year, but he just looks a little bigger too. I think Nick Baum made the point that, when you looked at a lot of those players, Cavs last year,
Yeah.
when they're out on the floor.
Yeah.
They look bigger now. So I think there has been, a lot of work done in the weight room with this whole group, but I can't wait to see them get in an actual like full scrimmage or game because there's just so much potential and talent on this team.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I should mention, going back to the scrimmage, during the interviews, when Nick Ball was doing interviews and John Fanta doing interviews, it was mentioned a couple of times to players when they said, "Hey, what's your goal for this year?" They go, "Winning a national championship."
Yeah.
Now, that that like set me back a little bit because number one, like the NFL season's kicked off now. When you talk to NFL players, they don't ever say we want to win the Super Bowl. 95 to 98% of the time, they say we want to get to the Super Bowl because there they know it's a one-game shot. If they just get to the Super Bowl, anything can happen, right? You normally hear the same thing from college basketball players. Yeah, we're gonna try and get to the Final Four. That's our goal: get to the Final Four. Da, da, da. Again, not as much of it's obviously a 2-game shot, but still anything can happen. So it was kind of surprising to put the national championship. Like, you mean to tell me if we get to the semifinals of the national championship, people will be disappointed? I don't think so. Okay. But it was great to hear the confidence in the players. I mean, that's just how confident they are. I would just step back a second and say, hey, look, again, we were one video review away from losing our first NCAA game last year. So, granted, with a shell of the team that we have and a real shell of the team that we have this year. Yeah. As far as most impressive, I don't know. That's a tough question to answer, again, because of the way that the scrimmage was. There wasn't a lot. I guess I'm going to go Nembhard just because coming back from the wrist injury, and he showed no ill effects from that and looked really good out there. So I'll go with Nembhard.
Yeah, good to hear. All right. So question 2 from Bob. The non-conference portion of the schedule, how many losses should we realistically expect without jumping off a cliff?
Well, that's a great question, actually, because I think people will be upset with more than one loss. I think people will be flipping out. I would say to fans, look, don't go crazy if we have 3 losses. It's nothing to get totally off the charts with, okay? Because you've got to go to Texas. That's not going to be easy. But turning out in Maui, we could easily lose 2 games there, okay?
That's a stat.
Then let's say you lose those 3. Then you still have to beat Arizona State, a team that's kind of been a thorn in our sides some years when they weren't that good. We still got to beat them on a neutral floor and BYU on a neutral floor. So I don't think three losses should drive anybody nuts because obviously we're going to be favored in the Big East, and we're going to be favored in most of the games in the Big East. So, you take 4 losses in the Big East and 3 there, that's 7. You're going to run 22, 23, 24 and 7, 25 and 7. Hey, that's an outstanding record, especially if we end up playing the likes of, we know we're going to play Texas Tech, but then we could play Arkansas and maybe Arizona. Like that's a real nice mix to run through.
Could end up seeing San Diego State again too.
Could see them in the final. Absolutely. They're very, very good again this year.
Yep.
So, and I'm sure they would love to play us again.
Yeah.
So I would say, ideally we'd like to see 1, maybe only 2. I would be real happy with a 2 and 3 in Maui, and then maybe lose to Texas. I mean, Texas is a winnable game, though, frankly, but I think that's about where it would fall. 1 to 3.
Yeah, and this season's a bit different in the sense that the non-con is just leagues different, at least aside from the home non-con, is leagues different from where it's been in past years where we've had teams we were excited about going in and we'd be disappointed with 1 loss in the non-con. If you lose some of these games, you kind of have to look at it and say, those were some good teams, or at least as of right now. You're looking at some of those, games in Maui, the game at Texas, and you're saying those are really good teams. That isn't typically Creighton's non-con.
Right.
So.
Right. We don't have a strong home game this year.
Yeah.
fans are kind of arms about that.
Yep, that too. Yep, all right. Third and final question from Matt. As one of the top bracketologists in the country, where will you seed Creighton when your first bracket comes out?
That'll probably be out in about a month or so. I would say, I don't know if I'd put him 2. I'd probably put him a 3 seed. Now, again, depends on how some of these other teams you look at and shake out and so forth. But I think a 3 seed to start out, because I don't know, and when it's all said and done, we might be like a 3 seed because I don't know how strong the Big East is.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't. I think Xavier's going to be pretty good. I think UConn's going to be good. I'm not sure. I think Villanova's going to be good. I just don't know how good. Mm-hmm. And then beyond that, I think there's kind of a big drop off. Seton Hall's got a new coach. You've got a new coach. Some people are talking about Butler just because Thad Matta's there.
Yeah.
I'm telling you that.
Just kind of a splash hire.
Yeah, I don't know if the talent is there, and that's been out of the game for quite a while. So a team like DePaul, I think is going to be much better again.
Yeah.
But again, it's like so many leagues. Once you're at the bottom, it's so hard to inch up. I think Georgetown's going to be at the bottom again. Providence lost everybody, so how the process of molding all these new players together, how's that going to work? But I think Creighton will probably land about a 3. Again, if they only lose one non-conference game, have a couple of big non-conference wins, especially go on the road and beat Texas, that's going to boost you automatically. If you have a decent Big East season, that's going to boost you like 2 seed. And then you just have to see how things shake out late in the season and in the conference tournaments. Any more questions?
Just the 3. That was the last one.
All right. Well, thanks, Zach. Appreciate it. Yep. Again, be looking for a podcast again next week. We'll probably do another trial run later next week, and then the launch, as of right now, our official launch of our Blue Jay Banner podcast will be on October 3rd. All right. I thank my great producer, Zach Weaver. We will say hello to Ross next week, hopefully. And we'll see all you guys next week. And don't forget, go to bluejaybanner.com right now and sign up today. If you're not already a member, you'll get fantastic Jays coverage and great discussion on our message board. Our message board is worth the price of admission alone. So we'll see you next week.
All right.